You're listening to Fucks Given, the one where me and Reed talk about kinks and fetishes. Ooh. Oh. And I should have said Reed and I. So you could have it's Reed and I.
Grammar police. Excuse me, miss. It's only because I was hounded. Oh, sorry.
Oh, yeah. Please tell me.
No, it's only because I was hounded for it when I was a kid. You know, it's like when when a lesson gets stuck in your mind and you just can't help but say it.
Yeah. It's like when I go and stay with my uncle in America, whenever he's like, oh yeah, I'm just going to check the route. And I'm like, route.
It's fucking route, fam. Please.
Yeah.
It's not oregano, it's oregano.
It's oregano. It's a really annoying trait because it must be just so frustrating for him.
Yeah, it's probably just like, shut the fuck up.
Every single time,
please.
I'm just like, this is the right way of saying it, dude.
I die.
You're British. You were born in England.
Right. We're such cunts.
You're not an American. My uncle actually might listen to this, so hi.
Hey, Unky. We might be seeing you at some point. I'm going to stay at your house. Actually, no, we might be getting an Airbnb somewhere else so we can have some fun. Not you and your uncle. Like, no, I mean, me and my uncle. Oh, my God. It is a Friday morning. This has turned into some fucked up incest shit. Like, right, let's continue. What are we talking about today?
Well, you need to introduce yourself.
I should do
my
that.
name in earlier, but might be edited out. So
I'll talk over you. No. I'm Reed.
And I'm Florence. I'm really excited to catch up and talk about kinks and fetishes, though, because that is one of our favorite
subjects of all fucking time. It's like I could talk about kinks and fetishes until I die, and I will probably until I die.
Yeah, you will be like little old Grandma Reed. She'd be like, oh. Back in the day, I really, really enjoyed. Actually, no, I still enjoy non-consensual sex.
Yeah.
Non-consensual sex.
Tie me up, whip me.
But be careful because my skin is very brittle these days.
Brittle? Oh, I'm like sad for poor little old me in the future. Oh, I can't wait. No. I'm still going to be knee deep in the fetish scene. I imagine I'll be like there with my like silver hair, but also like fucking covered in leathers, sexy. Latex.
Gilf.
Yeah, man.
Grandma, I would fuck.
That golden pussy. All right, okay.
Golden pussy. That definitely would be silver.
I mean, gold, as in like, you know, like, oh no, that's Gilmore Girls. I was thinking like Golden Girls. I don't know. Maybe I'm just thinking about piss.
People. Yeah, you're probably just thinking about piss as per usual, actually.
Yeah, standard.
Yeah, it's really standard.
I saw this great Instagram post that was like, oh, me, 2003 being like, ew, squirt is pee. And I'm like, pee is better than any other fluid. This is great.
I want to get into that like a bit later because I don't really know about your wee fetish, but
it's a wee kink. Actually, no, maybe it's a fetish. So like
it's actually a thing
potentially. Yeah, I'm still trying to figure it out.
Catch up first. Like,
yeah, I think we shall, and then we'll go into what the difference between a kink and a fetish is because that I've only just fucking learnt that, and that blew my mind. And I have fetishes and kinks.
Yeah. But people want to know what we've been up to.
They do, Florence. What
you been? They really don't, but they really don't. They're like, bullshit, we don't care.
Yeah, we're going to tell you anyway. You're going to fucking listen, take it.
Yeah, you're going to fucking listen. You're going to fucking take it.
Take it in your ear.
Take in that information. I've just been away, actually. I've just been out on a little, like, mini break, a little holiday.
Very
and
nice.
I went to, oh my God, I've been wanting to go to Soho Farmhouse for the longest time.
It's supposed to be the nicest one.
Yeah, I got to go with my friend because she had some credits on her Soho House membership. So we stayed in, like, we stayed 2 nights there. And oh my days.
Is it good?
That place is stunning. It's just so amazing. It was so amazing. And it was like little like break that I didn't really know that I needed, but I definitely needed.
Yeah, for sure. Like you don't realize you get burnt out, especially when you're running your own business, when you're own like self-employed person. And because you just like, you work all the time. It's like 24 fucking 7. You don't get time to switch off. And then we've done it before where we get like really aggy or like angry at the work or disinterested. You don't know why. And it's just literally burnout from your own work, and you need to take that time away. It doesn't work just putting your phone down for an evening. You need to like actually go away and switch off and get out of that environment. And we can't do that at the moment.
No, we can't. It's hard. It's really hard. But as soon as I got there, and it was like the birds chirping, like I couldn't hear any traffic, like oh my God, I was like, wow, this peace, this tranquility, so sorely needed. But it was good. It was very non-sexual. Nothing sexual happened. I went with one of my really good friends, my good girlfriends, and it was kind of annoying because I'd just come off my period, so I was like really fucking horny.
Shit.
So like,
were you sharing a room?
Yeah, we were sharing
fuck.
like the biggest bed though. It was like the biggest bed that it felt like you weren't even in the same place as someone else.
I love those.
It was
beds.
crazy. It was massive. It was so good. But yeah, but weirdly, I actually kind of enjoyed the break from my boyfriend for like a little bit, because it's weird. Like, it was just nice to not like think about like talking to him and seeing him. Not that I like, obviously I really enjoy being with him and talking to him and all that, but it's so nice just to have a little break so that you can like come back and be like, oh my God, I really missed you.
Yeah, we don't have the opportunity to miss each other, you know, like, what is it? What's the term? Something makes the heart grow fonder. Time. Separation. What's that fucking saying? Why have I like...
what is that saying?
Drawn a blank.
What is that? Distance makes the...
Christina, help us, please.
Absence.
Absence. All right, yeah, we're back on. We're back. Christina pops in, pops out again immediately. Absence makes the heart grow fonder. And we don't have that, especially if you live with your partner, then you just don't have that opportunity to get that break you really fucking need, just to be like, oh my God, it's like, and appreciate what you have, and also appreciate the time you have with your friends away from that.
Yeah.
Need that independence.
Oh my God, like, there weren't really any like hot guys to look at or anything at the resort place. So I'm like back home being like, my boo is so much better than everyone that I saw there, which is really nice.
The gratitude. Very nice.
I'm so grateful. so
grateful.
Fucking grateful. Yeah, I guess actually we didn't really touch on the fact that my relationship went from like being a labelless relationship to a actual boyfriend girlfriend situation. It kind of just
buddy,
merged into it, because one day he was on the phone to his mate and he was just like, oh yeah, no, I'm just hanging out with my girlfriend tonight. And I looked at him, I was like, wait, what are we saying this now?
Excuse me, say that again. I'm so happy for you as well, because I know that this is something that you've wanted. And
well, it's one of those weird things where I've been like, you know what, I'm cool with not having labels, and I always have been very cool about it. And then as soon as it like happened, I was like, oh my God, I have a boyfriend, this is so exciting.
Do you want to know? I've just figured something out. Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
I'm really excited about this. I was talking about pansexuality this week because I'm pansexual, and I've had a lot of like identity crises throughout, going back and forth from like, am I pan, am I bi, or am I just like fake and I'm actually just straight because all I want to do is fuck guys. And I've figured out that I am romantically attracted to women, but sexually attracted to men, and I don't know what that is. I'm sure that's got a label for it.
Interesting.
But it really helped me define who I was, and this leads on to the episode. Like, the reason why I know for a fact that I am pansexual was because my fetishes, and thinking about somebody doing that act to me, regardless of their gender, makes me know for a fact that I am pansexual, rather than being like, but I haven't slept with all of the genders, you know, like. And that also fucks me up as well. I've only really slept with men, a couple of women here and there, but mainly men.
It's imposter syndrome, really. And I think a lot of people that are pansexual, bisexual really struggle with that, because it's just like, wait, what? But if I only sleep with this gender, or like, but I am attracted to them, right? And then you have this like whole battle in your head. It's just like,
Yeah.
who am I? Really? Am I just a straight person?
Yeah, I felt like a bad pan, like a bad bi. I was like, you've been with men all your life. You've only fucked men. You only dream and fantasize about men. I'm like, am I even pan though? Like, who am I? It's wild how we go through those things where something small can really throw you off, or something really small can just completely validate you. And sexuality is your own. It's not for anybody else to comment on and for anybody else to tell you what sexuality you are. They can speculate and they can give you their opinion, but at the end of the day, it's for you, and you make the rules, and you can decide what you are. Sexuality.
You don't even have to label yourself.
No, you don't have to label yourself. Labels are only there.
Completely fluid.
Yeah, labels are only there for people who want that sense of community, or who feel better finding like-minded people, or feel proud about it. But Jesus, like, you can be fluid, you can be queer, you can be there's just so many other options now. It doesn't have to be so binary. So thank God for that.
Exactly.
Yay.
Yeah. Well, shall we get on to the main subject of this podcast? What we give a fuck about today?
Yeah, we should.
I'm really annoyed with myself because last Friday, I had like a Friday night alone, and it was one of those nights where I was just like, wait, why don't I have anything to do on a Friday night? And I was like, where are all my friends at? Why have I not been invited out? Like, what is going on? Why is it always up to me to like initiate things? And I'm sitting there on my own, like watching Too Hot to Handle, like drinking wine, being like, oh my God, I hate Too Hot to Handle. Like, what the fuck is this about? Like, why like all these body, like dysmorphia, like all of those crazy, like, expectations that like these stupid like reality TV shows put on that. And then like just being, I'm so lonely, so I organized a night of my girls this evening. And but now I'm just like, all I want to do is get laid.
I don't want to spend a night with my girls. Fuck that shit. Oh shit.
It's actually okay.
Just because you mentioned girls, I'm going to talk about this on a podcast episode or something, Instagram or YouTube. But I'm stepping into a new relationship at the moment, a new friendship with someone called Jamie. And if at some point he'll come on here and probably talk about this, because he has the Let's Talk About Sex podcast. The Let's Talk About Sex podcast.
Talk about Sex Jamie.
Let's talk about Sex Jamie. And yeah, so like, just, it's really interesting. Like, I'm going into like a new relationship, which is like, it's not a relationship. It's like a platonic friendship where we fancy each other and want to fuck each other, but we're not going to. It's so interesting.
Very confusing.
Very confusing, very complicated, but it's so fascinating.
To get him on here and grill him about it with you.
Grill
I'm going to be like the Oprah, and you're going to be like the two people on the sofa, like, we really fancy each other, but we're not going to fuck. And I'm going to be like, yeah, you are.
I swear to God, everyone I talk to is like, yeah, you're going to fuck. It's like, well, maybe in the future, but also stop predicting our futures. Like, allow us.
You're like, please.
Please
just let us do it in our own time.
Yeah, it's great.
Whatever happens will happen.
Yeah, he's so good at communicating, and he's really, like, he has a therapist. I have a therapist, so we're just talking about everything so deeply, and it's fascinating. Wow. I'm learning so much about myself, and we're really like hitting our fears and our traumas and our phobias right on the head with this, and it's complicated, but it's fascinating. Like, we're both. It's just I can't. It's like a new friendship that I've never explored before.
Yeah.
I love
Very
it.
Fucking sweet.
So cool, man. I don't know. I'm really happy today. So I'm tired, but I'm happy. My foot's getting better.
Good.
For those who are wondering.
I feel great too, but just like overwhelmed with work now.
You just come back. You need like a holiday after the holiday to.
This is the thing. I was like, I really should have taken Friday off as well. Oops. But, you know, I love being here. I love being on the podcast.
Love it.
Complaining.
We've got like a full filming day. We've got film crew coming. It's going to be fucking great, man.
Anyway, what do we give a fuck about today? Kinks and fetishes. We always do this. We always like catch up for like the whole episode, and then we like slide something in at the end.
I don't know how long we've been recording for.
Actually, I think I can like lead on with almost like something that happened to me recently, which I was freaked out about, and it's happened to you before, Reed, as well.
Oh shit.
So I have this always shocks people. I don't think it's that shocking, but I have a lactation fetish.
Yeah,
so,
baby.
Not fetish, kink. It's
kink.
a kink.
Mm-hmm.
Because wait, what's the difference between a fetish and a kink? A kink is something that you are into, but you don't need it to get off, right?
Yeah, I mean, there are loads of different definitions because there isn't that much research into it. But my definition of what a kink is an uncommon turn on that like you might be into for a time or a phase. It might be something that like you're really into, like obsess about, but it's not something that you like need and always go back to. A fetish, on the other hand, is something that comes about from childhood, generally comes from experience, trauma, from just like something happening that like awakens something in you, and it's the thing that will always get you off. And a lot of people who have a fetish try and repress it and ignore it and hide it. There's a lot of shame and embarrassment. And I've felt all of those things all the way through my life. And it's only until recently I've just like, yeah, I'm going to fucking own my tickling fetish, my bondage fetish, my potential foot fetish. It doesn't always come about from childhood. You can suddenly discover that, oh my God, I'm really into this. You have to think about it with like porn. Is there something in porn that you always search for, that you always look for, that you always go back to? And it has to be uncommon. Generally speaking, a fetish is something that's non-sexual. So it could be a fetish for denim. It could be a fetish for feet. Again, fetish for tickling, not sexual, but it is very sexual to me. There's a lot to unpack, and it's so interesting unpacking it all.
So a kink's like a little bit less deep, basically.
Like, it's less deep.
You're into it, like it turns you on, but it's not the thing that you search for on porn like every single time you wank.
Yeah, but you might go through a phase and you're just like, oh my God, like I really am into like, I don't know, spanking. Oh, I love spanking. And you can still have a fetish for spanking, but spanking would have come from like, younger, something that you're obsessed about, that you almost base your whole sex around. Otherwise, you're left feeling really unsatisfied. And it can really be complicated in relationships if you have a fetish. Like I'm definitely, it's the thing that I masturbate over all the time. If I'm having sex and I'm trying to concentrate and come, like that's the thing I think about. It's, really, really interesting. I love it all.
Yeah. For me, I don't have a fetish, I don't think. But I definitely have kinks. So like the lactation thing, like kind of like the BDSM kind of restraint kind of things. They're all kinks for me. Yeah. Because I can take them or leave them. Like they really turn me on sometimes. And sometimes I'm just like, I just want to have like basic sex, basic vanilla sex.
Which there's nothing wrong with. I laughed just because of the
I love vanilla sex.
Yeah, vanilla sex is just as equal as kinky sex. We have to remember that. Of
course.
That.
Yeah.
And I feel like...
It can be like fucking amazing.
People like are into vanilla get such a bad rep, and I feel really bad as well, like in the dating game on my dating profile, if they're like, oh yeah, like I'm up for anything, and I'm like, I'm sorry, that's just not what I'm looking for. Like up for any, I want someone who can share the same thought processes with like a kink or a fetish, and a fetish is deeper, which is, I'm so lucky I found my online community because I felt so fucking alone. Like nobody was going to feel the same way as me. And there's different levels with fetishes as well. There's some people that are into tickling, and then there's some people that are specifically into like mummification and tickling, or like extreme tickling, like pushing the boundary. There's just so many different types. There's so many different subcategories which I'm learning about. And I found my people. They live over in America, but like we're voice noting constantly, and it's so lovely.
Oh, that's so cool. That is
so
really,
cool.
really fucking cool.
I love them. Shout out to you guys. You're amazing.
So back to the lactation thing.
Oh yeah.
I was just like coming up with this because I did not know that this was a thing, and I think we didn't know this was a thing when it happened to you either. And like, thank God it happened to you first, because I would have been fucking freaking out.
Thank God. And you motherfucker, you made me feel so shit for me lactating. I was like, dude. Allow it, man.
Reed sent me a picture of her nipple with like a drip of white liquid coming out, and I was like, the fuck is that?
There's something wrong with you, man. You're ill. You need to go to the doctor immediately.
I was like, Reed, you need to see a doctor immediately. Oh, because I was, you know what? But no one ever talks about this sort of stuff. So how are we
No.
supposed to know that this actually happened?
Like sex education. So sometimes your nipples might leak. And that can also happen if you're a child and if you're a man, you know?
Yeah.
It's a normal condition. It happens to a lot of people.
Yeah, it was just before my period. And I was like, I swear my top's like a little bit damp. Like, what's going on there? And my period was also late. So I was a bit freaky deaky.
Oh, fuck.
Went into the bathroom and I was at my friend's house actually, and I was just like, just squeezed.
Did it come out?
Squeezed my boob a bit, and like a little bit of like white liquid came out.
Right,
and I was
right.
like, fuck.
Yeah,
but
you milked
so
yourself. I milked myself. It was hot. I put it on fucking OnlyFans.
Did you? I didn't take a pic because I was just too in the moment of being freaked out, because I was like, oh my God, does this mean I'm pregnant? Like,
that's the immediate thought.
Actual fuck.
Yeah, like you think like pregnancy, obviously kids, obviously milk, but apparently like most of the time it has nothing to do with pregnancy.
No.
When
I
I
did a
spoke
pregnancy test, by the way.
yeah, just in case, you know. Whew. It because it's. What was it that you said? You don't start lactating until like, what is it, 6 months in? Someone said a time.
Yeah, the lactation you wouldn't be lactating at the beginning of pregnancy anyway.
Absolutely not. When you just like first month, you know, it just wouldn't happen. So when I spoke to my doctor, she did ask me a bunch of questions. She was actually amazing. But she also asked, have you been stimulating your nipples a lot recently? And I was like, well, yeah, that's basically what I do every time I masturbate or have sex. Like, I am a massive nipple stimulator. And same with you, Florence. So I think the nipple stimulation is just awakening our lactating glands. And they're like, oh, something's going on.
A lot. I swear I had a lot of nipple play. Like the weekend, I think maybe like 4 nights in a row. It was just like constant nipple play. And obviously, I super enjoy nipple play. 1, because it feels fucking amazing. But 2, because of my lactation kink.
Yeah, and buddy.
Like, when it's happening, I might be imagining that there might be something coming out. It might be drinking something from me.
I love it.
I guess it's one of those things where I feel... I had one partner at the beginning of last year who was really into it as well, and we really experimented with it and like pushed it to its like limits, really. And I kind of figured out like I'm like into it. I'm into the whole idea of like someone drinking from me. The guy that I was seeing was into the whole like mummy role play.
Yeah, so cool.
I was like, you know what? I'm into lactation play, so let me like try this role play. I'll give it a go. And like we even got like oat milk and like
I love it, oat milk as well. I'm
like,
dying.
Oat milk dripping it around my nipple, and like he was like licking it all up, and like, but the whole role play aspect of it, like I figured out wasn't really like what I was into. Like I didn't really enjoy doing the whole like, oh, like I don't know, hungry baby or whatever. Like,
yeah, suck mummy's teat.
Yeah, like no shame on people that are into that. It just wasn't for me. And I think it's good to talk about that there are levels though to all these things, because like just because you're into lactation play doesn't mean that you're like into the whole thing, but it's good to also experiment with it, like and find out if you're really into it or not.
There's so many different avenues. Like what I like about lactation play is like I like the idea of someone being strung up like cattle, like a cow, and milked non-consensually, and like their milk coming out and like being drunk and like, I fucking love that shit.
I am definitely masturbating.
Yeah, that little grin, like yes, like, yes. All you are is like a fucking. Oh, I was gonna say sow, but that's a female pig.
I mean, you can milk a female. You can milk any female, basically.
Yeah, basically, yeah. I mean, we've just proven that you can milk us when we're not even preggers. So nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
Oh my god. I did like, you know, it's one of those things though that not everyone is going to be into that. And it's one of those things. I'm glad that it's a kink for me and not a fetish, because I think it will be quite rare to find people that are super, super into it. But actually, the reason that I figured out why I liked it was from that show on Netflix called Working Mums.
Yes.
And there's a whole like scene in it where she's got like these like big bursting like tits, and she's just had a baby, and then she's also like having an affair with like a younger man, and like he's just like, well, you know, like I'll just relieve you of that, and he like starts drinking from her, and I was like,
into it.
Oh my god,
down.
Like, why am I so turned on? And that was like the first time I was just like, wow, that's a thing.
That's a thing. Oh, it's a thing now. Oh, fuck.
That's a thing.
I love shit like that though, and you're like, it's almost like, yeah, when you're just like, oh my god, that's another thing to add to the pile that's going to turn me on. Okay, but that's so cool. You want like a big long lit. Oh, I fucking love it. Or sometimes you're just like, not another thing, please, not one more wank over
this. No, I fucking love it though. I really do. I do really
so
love it.
Cool. What were we talking about? We were talking about kinks and fetishes and going off from milky titties. Do you have any other kinks, fetishes?
Just like the BDSM stuff, which is just like, I definitely am into like, I don't know if I would say that I'm into non-consensual, consensual, but I've definitely had like fantasies about it.
Yeah,
I think I'd like to
non-consensual.
Explore it. Yeah.
Sorry, just to clarify, I think you're like non-consensual, consensual,
oh,
which changes the whole meaning.
Non-consensual.
Yeah, so consensual, non-consensual for people is, and this might be a trigger word, but basically is like role-playing that you don't want it.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
Yeah.
And we're trying to change that. I used to say the R word a lot, R-A-P-E, but that's very triggering for a lot of people. And of course it isn't that word, because that is non-consensual. That's something we do not condone. So I recently was told to change that term up to ravishment fantasy, which makes, like, I was fascinated by it. I keep saying fascinated. I'm a fascinated person today, right? Ravishment. It's kind of like medieval times. Like, it's the idea of like somebody wanting you so bad that even if you say no, they can't help themselves. And that's, again, a fantasy. It is not real. It is only acceptable when you have clear communication with somebody, when you talk about it in depth before, during, and after, checking in. You know, you're reading their signs. It's a lot of like making sure that they're okay. And again, in that situation, the person who is being ravished will ultimately have the control, because as soon as she says stop.
Oh yeah, 100%.
Stop. As I say she, I'm sorry, I'm gendering this, as soon as they say stop. But of course, if you like pushing those boundaries, like the people I've met on who I'm voice noting across the seas, they like pushing it beyond those boundaries, but they have a very good communication system. This is only acceptable for people who fucking know what they're doing and know how to communicate. But ravishment fantasy, it's really cool. I love the idea of that, of like medieval times, just being like fucking like clothes ripped off and just like taken.
Yeah, and it's such a common fantasy and kink. And I think because it is one of those really taboo things, and it's something that obviously we're not supposed to want, but like that's where a lot of kinks come from. It's just like things that are the most taboo. We're like, oh fuck, that's so fucking filthy and dirty, and like I need it in my life.
Especially a fetish, because most of these fetishes come from childhood, from upbringing, from how your parents behaved. I'm talking about, so say you're into ravishment fantasy. Maybe your parents didn't give you the physical love that you were hoping for. Maybe you didn't get hugged enough. And this is like, again, speculation. I'm not a professional, but this is what I've been working through with my therapist. And so the idea of like physical touch is very sexual, because I never really got it, never really got hugs. Fucking sad violin in the background. And so the idea that somebody wants you that much that they can't keep their hands off you, that's very, very tactile. Again, it's the same with tickling. That's very, very touch focused. It's touching you specifically. And then that with involuntary reactions and pleasure that you can't control, it just feeds into a lot of stuff, a lot of like psyche stuff, which I used to be afraid about exploring, because I was so scared about figuring out that, like, you know, daddy issues, and like my dad didn't hug me enough, and like oh, this time with this person like wasn't great, and so all this kind of stuff. And it all builds up, but like I'm not afraid of it anymore, because the more I learn about it, the more I realize that's not something to be ashamed of or embarrassed about. We go through shit. We have stuff. We all have done it together. We've all got parent issues. We've all been bullied at school. Like, I'm fucking really into being bullied as well, probably because I was bullied at school.
Because you were bullied.
Yeah, like, I love that shit. I love being humiliated. I like degradation. I like having the piss taken out of me to the point where I'm embarrassed and shy and I can't handle it anymore. That's a fucking turn on. Even though it's something that I would never want to wish on somebody. But it's also... It's all fascinating. There's that F word again, fascinating. It's
fascinating.
Just fascinating. Yeah.
Fascinating. I really relate to that though, because I, as a child, like took myself away from physical touch with my family.
Yeah.
And I was just like, I don't know what triggered it at that point. Where I was just like, you know what? I don't like cuddles with you. And then, and I've always found it like, I kind of find it annoying, like when I see people that are friends and stuff, like being able to like just cuddle and it doesn't mean anything.
Cuddle, fully cuddle your friends.
For me, every time I'm like in like a cuddle, like a hug's different, but like if you're like snuggling up on the sofa,
right.
like you're all touching, for me, that sort of touch is always a sexual thing.
Absolutely.
Even if it's like with your partner that you're sexual with, and in that moment it's not sexual, but I dedicate those bits of intimacy for a partner only.
Yeah.
It makes sense with the whole thing that you were saying about the ravishing kink.
Because it's like the extreme version of that, like when when we're younger, a situation will either cause a fetish or a phobia. I mean, that's a huge generalization, but it's like such a fascinating thought. And I feel exactly the same. Like I find it so hard to cuddle somebody who's not who's a non-sexual partner, and so I'm really trying hard to work on that. I could have
that.
Yeah. My sister and I. There was something that I read recently. That really almost saddened me. Let me just get it up. Okay, about hugging, right? So how many times a day do we need a hug? And healthline.com says that Virginia Satir once said, we need 4 hugs a day for survival, 8 hugs a day for maintenance, and 12 hugs a day for growth. Nobody gets those hugs. I'm lucky if I get a hug a week. So my sister and I, like, we've after finding that out, we're like, shall we hug more? And it's honestly, it's changed everything. I feel so good. And I'm trying to make an effort to hug more. With Jamie, I've talked about this. And so we're making a conscious effort to be more physical in a non-sexual way. So like heads resting on legs and like hugging for a bit longer than usual. And yes, I feel fucking uncomfortable. And like a tiny little tap on the shoulder or the arm will have my mind like fucking firing off. Oh my God, sexual. Oh my God, turn on. This is a big deal. When it's like, it shouldn't have to be a big deal. But it's because, dad wasn't around and mum never hugged. And it's just learning stuff like that.
That's so weird.
So cool, right? But like learning stuff about yourself, it can really hurt, but it's the hurt that you need to process and move through to understand. Be like, oh, that makes so much fucking sense. Even like my closest girlfriends, I can't sit there cuddling them. Like I like a little cuddle, but I'm like, okay, now we're done. Like I'm good now. Yeah, it's fascinating. Oh, fuck's sake.
What?
I need the fucking bleep button for that fascinating word. It's the new F word. Again. Jesus Christ.
Take a shot every time Reed says fascinating.
Yeah, alcohol poisoning immediately. Jesus Christ. So
you actually, I feel like we should touch upon your tickling fetish, because this took you a really long time to come out about. Like, because I mean, we've been doing Come Curious for like 7 years or something now.
Yeah.
And it was only until maybe like a year, maybe less than a year since
almost less than a year, I would say. And it's something that I've battled with. I mean, I've had it since I was like, must be like, I don't know, even younger, like young, like maybe 5, something like that. Through situations, because tickling happens all the time, which I do not condone. I do not condone non-consensual tickling. I'll put that out there now. I don't like it when parents do it to kids, when people do it to other people. I am not okay with that, and I think it's wrong. But I may be not okay with that.
I'm so anti-tickling.
Well, that's the thing. It's a non-consensual act, and if somebody hates it, it's not nice. It's torture. and it's not,
Yeah.
and it's like it's almost like an acceptable form of like physical non-consensual touch. Like why have we created this? Why is it okay?
Yeah, I find it like a weird one because I feel like with all my partners in the past, guys love tickling me.
Yeah.
And I've never said once that it was okay to tickle me.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I'm like, I don't know if
Why
I
is it
like
acceptable?
hate it enough to like, I don't hate it enough to be like, don't ever do this to me again. Like, seriously.
But you like the intimacy, you know, it's
Yeah.
fun, you laugh, and it does do good things, you know, it does
But I
release
might
endorphins.
kick you.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah. But it's, I mean, you could say the same about sex, but you wouldn't ever accept anybody like non-consensually fucking you, so... and I get really uncomfortable when I see it, so uncomfortable, not just because it's sexual, I mean probably mainly because it's sexual, but because like I'm just like, why are you invading their personal space? I saw a TikTok. I watched a TikTok for once.
You watched a TikTok?
Yeah, would you believe? And it was this mum who was talking about consent, and she was like, oh, do you want to eat anymore? And the kid was like, no. And she's like, okay. Do you want to like she was hugging him. Oh, do you want to hug anymore? Or like, shall we stop? And they're like, we can stop. She's like, okay. And then she tickled him, and then she was like, do you want any more tickling? And he was like, no. And she was like, okay. And I was like, that is the fucking parenting that I like to see. It is asking your child for consent. Just because you're the adult and you think you know best doesn't mean you can push it and do something non-consensual. I just was like, you're a fucking G. And again, it rolls into consent massively.
Yeah. My dad used to tickle me like way too much, and I would physically I would be like in a situation where I'm kicking, like I am like being physically violent back because I was in so much like discomfort from it.
And that's unacceptable. I don't think we should accept it. I don't think it should be allowed. But then again, you hate it now. It could have easily turned into a fetish.
Yeah. But yeah.
It's like what shit does
I don't
to our
like
brain.
hate it that. I don't hate it that much. It's like a weird, because you're right. Like I like the intimacy that I like. I kind of like the fact that people want to do it because it's like cheeky and like I don't know.
Yeah,
It's a weird
this is probably, you know, like diving in deep here. This is probably why it became a fetish, because I didn't receive the love from my dad that I wanted. So like that intimate touch was like an extreme version of that love. Latching onto it, then that turns into like, oh, that's the kind of love that I want. And therefore now I'm older, I'm not going to be able to find that from my dad. I don't want that from my dad. So I find it in a sexual partner or a romantic partner. I wouldn't be comfortable if a friend tickled me. Like, I've had a lot of requests on my OnlyFans on, like, oh, can your friend tickle you, make a tickle video? And I'm like, I'm not comfortable with that. Like, it's too sexual for me. It's too much. And, like, that's something that is, So it's just, just figuring all that out, and it makes me feel so good to learn it all, and I'm realizing how fucking like Freud really was ultimately, he was a fucked up man, but like a lot of his theories are very true. They ring really true, and a lot of people don't want to believe them, or they push away like, oh my god, no, like I'm not attracted to my dad, like no, I don't want to fuck my mum. That's not what he was saying. He was saying that there are elements through the parenting, the upbringing, that might equate into what your kinks, what your fetishes are, what you look for in another person. I mean, we all do it. We all are attracted to people that remind us of our parents. And that's not a bad thing at all. It's just that they're the people that you saw and aspired to, the people that you looked up to throughout your whole childhood, that you're trying so hard to please. And little things, little instances can really inform and mold your decisions around your partners in your later life, especially when they become sexual. And it shouldn't be something that's hard to talk about, but it is. It really is.
It is. And I think a lot of people are just so wrapped up in this shame around what they feel, mainly because of like the way that people respond or like judge you for like having those things in the first place. And because people don't, because we haven't, it's like a vicious cycle really, because no one's talking about it, so that people, it was like when you were lactating and I was like, what the fuck?
You okay, hon? it's like, that's exactly it. Like someone who is so open and confident. We both are, and there are still things that we find hard to talk about because of the shame around them. I mean, we fucking have a YouTube channel, a platform, multimedia platform, where we talk so openly about sex and like own your kinks and fetishes. And I felt guilty every single fucking day for not being able to talk openly about my tickling fetish. Like, oh, I'm like, you know, I'm a fraud. I'm a bad person because I'm basically not practicing what I preach.
Everyone has to do it in their own time.
Yes, and I'm so glad I did. I'm so glad I did, because now I feel strong enough to be able to do it. You know, it takes baby steps. It's not something you can just suddenly announce on a fucking platform. It's something that took time, where I had partners and I spoke about it with them. Speaking about it with my therapist was a massive turning point. Being able to talk to her about it and learning and understanding where it came from, and understanding that I'm not weird, that I'm not a creep, that even I still...
Well, I mean...
well, yeah, like self-proclaimed freak, baby. But the more I do that, the more I talk about it, the more at peace I feel about it, the more I can put it on my dating apps and on my profiles, and the more I know what I want, because I'm so done with being in relationships, sexual relationships, where I just can't get what I want. Not satisfied. I want someone to want to be able to tie me up and tickle me. But that's fucking hard to find, man. That's fucking hard to find. If you're a freak like me, come slide in my DMs or find me on FetLife at ReadAmberX, because I need to find people that I can explore this with. Because I've spent 30 years of my life not being able to. Like, fuck that, man.
But I guess, like, the biggest, like, takeaway from this episode is we need, like, if someone comes to you and talks to you about something that they have, like, a kink about or a fetish about, don't react in a negative way. Try to just let them talk. Like, ask them questions. Understand, like, where it came from. And, like... I mean, we didn't go back to, like, the whole pissing thing, but that's, like, a big one for people to be, like, super judgmental about, because, like, it's like, oh, like, that's so disgusting, that's dirty, like, blah, blah, blah.
That's exactly the reason why.
So many people are into that.
Yeah.
I've been with a guy that was into piss, and, like, once I was pissing, and he was like, can I put my fingers in your stream?
God, so
piss?
good.
And I was like, okay.
I'm so proud of you. I'm so proud. It's the same with the guy from Love Island who's just come out about feet. I was like, round of applause, you're amazing, I love you. Oh, everyone's fucking rinsing him. Wow, they're calling him disgusting. Actually, a person on Instagram that I love, that I really appreciate and respect, rinsed him. And I was like, you've completely lost my faith.
What? Rinsed him about having a foot fetish?
Yeah, I mean, he's quite religious, and he was just like, you know, like, God is watching. And I was just a bit like, oh, man, like, really?
Fuck.
Like, just because you don't necessarily share or relate to his kinks or fetishes doesn't mean you need to shame him for it. I was like, you're an intelligent man as well. Like, I respect what you say, but you've just lost my respect. I wonder if I can find him, name and shame, because, like, I really want him on the podcast as well, because what he says is fascinating.
He probably has a foot fetish himself. Like, so
Running
many
away
people
from it.
have hidden kinks and fetishes. And, like, just own them. You will have better sex if you just own them.
Yeah, side man all day. That, like, he is so good and brings up some incredible points, but shaming people about sex, I was like, oh, you've lost my vote.
You literally just shamed him.
Yeah.
Bring his name up, bring him out.
But everything else he talks about is great. It's just we have, I mean, some very different views about sex. Sex and even then relationships. I've learned a lot about him talking about relationships, and
you know what, it's weird as well, because I definitely feel like talking about the whole lactation thing, like, publicly, like, especially, like, quite a lot, like, on this episode, like, I feel like a bit nervous about, like, what people are gonna say, what people are gonna think, and, like, it's really horrible having that feeling where it's just like, oh my God, people are going to judge me and, like, think I'm disgusting or think I'm weird.
Yeah, I reject you for it.
All of these things are so normal.
Yeah. Yeah, especially...
A foot fetish, especially, like, oh my God.
so many people are into it. Yeah, and it's only recently like come out in the public's eye, you know. It's like it's become, I don't want to say fashionable, I hate that word, but more people are talking about it. It's become more acceptable. You know, you're seeing it in music videos and people are talking about it openly. It's on like celebrity Twitters where they're like, yeah, write my name on the bottom of your foot. Who fucking did that? Someone did that. And I was like, dude, he's just getting free porn.
Since Pulp Fiction, innit? Like, Quentin Tarantino was so, was it The Big Lebowski? Like, just so into his, like, feet, like, throughout the whole thing. And people were just like, you know what?
Yeah,
like,
cool.
Quentin Tarantino, he's a freak and we fucking love it.
Yeah, I mean, it comes in waves, doesn't it? Like, we were super into, like, anal was really cool and butts, and then we've got...
Rimming. Rimming had its little time.
And now, I mean, we already see, like, fetish clothing in fashion. We've got, like, latex and leather and...
I guess that's the thing. Like, BDSM's very, very accepted now. Like, I think most couples would be open to trying a bit of BDSM. But... the things that are like more taboo are the things like the dirtier it gets, the like, and the more like, I guess the more deep into the psyche it gets as well. That's when people are just like if they're afraid of it, basically. It's fear.
Yeah, it's absolutely fear, especially when it's a fetish. I definitely think trying to surround yourself with like-minded people can really help. Like I feel so supported whenever I talk about my kinks and fetishes now, because I have like-minded people that I have close relationships with that are accepting of what I'm into. When you're surrounded by people who barely even talk about sex, or you bring something up and people laugh at it, it's not, you know, they're not laughing at it, they're laughing at it because they don't know how to react most of the time. It's not that they want to shame you, they just don't know what to say or do. Find your community, go online, get yourself a profile on FetLife or on the forums that relate and represent your kink, your fetish, and talk to people so you can feel less alone and know that there are people out there. I mean, there are fucking like 7 billion fucking people on this fucking planet. Actually, it might be 9 billion. I can't remember. There's a lot of fucking people on this fucking planet.
There's a lot of people.
And you will be able to find hundreds of people that are into exactly the same thing that you are, no matter how extreme, no matter how bad you think of it, no matter how fucked up it is, there will be... It's just like fucking maths, right? Statistically speaking, there are people out there.
Also, like, you know, if your partner's super into something and they open up to you about it, like, what's the worst thing that could happen if you try it?
Yeah, I did that with...
You fucking love it?
With my last partner, I was so terrified to talk to him about it. It literally took me maybe 2 years. I told him everything that I was into, including like my ravishment fantasies, my consensual, non-consensual fantasies, my extremes, but not tickling. And he even tickled me. And I still couldn't fucking say it. I couldn't spell it out to him. And it wasn't until we ended that I said, yeah, you know, my tickling fetish. And I said those words, and it was a big fucking deal for me. It was like, oh my God, I finally like said it. And when I first mentioned I was really into tickling, he was like, oh, really? Like, I really thought it was really bad because you didn't want to, this is cool. It's amazing. Like, thanks for telling me. And I was like, you are great. But I still, even then, couldn't spell it out for him. It was still something that was just a bit of fun. So yeah, it most of the time you'll build up something so big in your head, and it's taking those baby steps to talk to people, to mention it, to drop it in, to say hypotheticals. How would you feel if? What do you think about? And gauge their reaction and talk about it. If you get rejected or shut down immediately, go back to it later.
It's not to say that. And also it's because they probably have like the shame and the stigma like worked up in themselves, and that's why they're reacting in that way. So like obviously their immediate reaction is going to be like, oh, what the fuck, like I don't really know what to do, ew, like I can't. But the more you have the conversation and the more that they are close to you, the more they will understand and like actually want to maybe experiment with what you're really into. But yeah, like you said, sometimes it's about finding the right people to be in a relationship with, if it's a fetish especially. This
is why I'm gravitating
just
to like
being really open.
Gravitating to like fetish clubs, because a sex club is great, but I know I'm not going to really find like-minded people there necessarily. A fetish club, I know I'm going to find like-minded people, or people who are like, oh, I'm not into that, but I'm into this, so I understand. I get you.
Communication is like the best thing ever, and like don't ever be scared to talk about it, and just literally just be like say exactly how you feel. Like, oh, you know, like, I feel like a bit hurt by the fact that you didn't react to this in like the right kind of way, and like it's making me feel really bad about myself. And then just like, you know, then from there they can be like, you know, they'll say whatever they want to say, but at least you're opening up that conversation and being really honest with each other.
Yeah, you need to move towards the things that make you feel uncomfortable so that we can grow. That's the be all and end all. Gotta push yourself and take those risks and prove to yourself that it's not as bad as your mind is made up.
Yeah.
Well, I hope you enjoyed that really crazy episode, Kinks and Fetishes. It's like one of our favourite things to talk about.
I was literally just about to say one of our favourite subjects.
But now we have our porno story.
Ooh. Ba-now. Oh, it's the Pink Panther.
What? That's like very unsexy.
It's not sexy.
I die.
Okay. Just to remind you of what has happened in our porn film so far. Oh yeah, but basically, if you don't know, we're writing a porno with you guys, and you have been helping us with a little game of consequences. What happens next in the porn film? And so far, we have had 2 parts, and we are just about to read out the 3rd part. But I'll just remind you of the story so far. So at the moment, I'm home alone, and suddenly there was a massive knock at the door, and Reed was standing outside the door. She's my landlady, and she looked very, very angry.
And then I say, "You've been shagging my husband behind my back," in that exact voice.
This is so EastEnders.
I love the drama.
Drama.
And we left it up to you to decide what happens next. So we had some incredible entries in. Thank you for everyone who wrote into us.
Yes. Oh my God. We had very long, detailed.
Like, whoa, we have some serious like fanfic artists on our hands
here.
Yeah, we
really do.
I want to publish them.
They were so good, but we can't read out the really long ones, which is a real shame because obviously you guys put so much effort into them, but we can't. That'll be a whole podcast episode if we read your whole porno story. So we've chosen one that was like a good length and something that we really liked to continue the story.
Reed says, "I can't believe you could both do this to me."
In brackets, it's like Reed's husband appears next to her at the door to the flat. So I guess maybe he just like poof appears,
Poof.
Or he's like running after you like, what the fuck, don't do this. Anyway, Florence looks at them both, imagining them naked. Wait, Am I still looking through the peephole? I guess I'm still looking through the peephole.
Yeah, we don't know if the door's open yet.
Have I opened the door?
Who knows?
Florence looks at them both, imagining them both naked, drawn towards the ample bead of sweat dripping down the breast of the landlady and to her husband's cock.
Wow, I mean, like, that's a lot of detail you can see through a fucking keyhole, like,
right?
spy hole thing.
My immediate reaction is your husband standing next to you naked? Or like,
yeah, on the outside of
my door.
Nice. I'm literally imagining your flat now. Actually, it's probably doable. He probably could be there naked, but
I mean, you
might get some stairs.
There isn't that many foot traffic around that door. So the next bit is fond memories of the hot session the night before flash to mind. Ooh,
so you're fantasizing about
your husband.
My husband.
Oh yeah, I mean we've been banging, so. And she could feel drawn into the scenario. I was mesmerized by last night's happenings.
So, like, he's naked outside. You're looking through the little, like, spy hole.
Yeah.
It was still, like, we're this is what we're imagining.
Wait, maybe not, because the next bit's like, she walked towards them both. So maybe I've opened the door.
Well, maybe you could open the door right now.
Oh, yeah, that's okay. So I'm opening the door like, hello.
And, wait, am I still angry?
Yeah, you're angry.
Yeah.
You must be angry still. Like, there hasn't been any change of scene here.
Angry landlady. Also, like, where's my rent?
Where's my rent and why have you been shagging my husband?
Yeah, that's the most important thing. I forgot about the husband shagging. Like, where's my rent, bitch? She walked towards them both, took their hands and let each of them slip a strap on her. Oh fuck! I jumped the gun there. I was like, strap on. Slip a strap of her dress down till it hit the floor. So we're undressing you outside your door now. Whoa, this is some like public exhibitionism stuff going on.
It really changed from your mood being super angry at me. Suddenly your husband's there with you, and now we're all like about to embark on this magical threesome.
Yeah, well, we don't know what's going to happen next. Like, you know, your dress is off. I could still be mad.
Maybe I took both of your hands and like moved my straps off my dress without your consent.
But maybe I'm there angrily looking at you, but still checking you out naked. Who knows?
Or maybe you want to fuck me up.
Yeah. Oh, mate.
You want to fuck me up.
You're in for it.
I'm just a little bit confused by this scenario now. But anyway, whatever's happening, we're now just about to embark on a magical threesome.
Oh, well, hold up now. It still might not be a magical threesome. Don't put thoughts into our audience's heads. We don't know what might happen.
Okay, so I'm just standing naked in front of you both, basically.
Yeah. Anything.
That's where we're at. That's where we're at.
We could go into a flat and there's already an orgy kicking off. We could like, I don't know.
I was peacefully scrolling through Instagram on my sofa.
Oh yeah, but like no one mentioned that there might have been an orgy going on around you. Casual orgy.
No, there might have been a casual orgy there.
You never know. But we could I don't know, suddenly bump into fucking someone famous and they invite us to a party and we could end up fighting.
We could end up fighting, naked wrestling on the floor.
Yeah, mud bath. What's it called? Like when mud wrestling, jello wrestling. Oh my, imagine.
Oh yeah. Fill up my bath, get in the jelly.
Perfect.
Slip around.
And it also doesn't have to be realistic. It could be completely imaginative. Like maybe we all just suddenly fly and have powers.
We're flying around. This is definitely going to get made.
I was going to say
the money for CGI.
Yeah. How are we going to do that? Okay, maybe more realistic.
But we're actually going to have to change up the way that we're doing this, guys, because you guys are writing us in the longest story. So we thought, how are we going to get more people involved, and how are we going to get this story happening in the smoothest way possible? So we thought maybe instead of you writing in your whole next section and writing like us, like a whole book.
A novel. It's cute. We appreciate but
we love it. But it doesn't work for the podcast. So what we're going to do is we're going to ask you whether you want scenario A or scenario B.
And whichever one you choose, you can sort of add to that, right? Add a little bit of juice. So scenario A, another man is sat in Florence's apartment. Scandalous.
Oh my god.
Two.
I'm so fucking greedy.
Or scenario B, Reed has her own secret to tell Florence. Ooh. And of course these are just two options. So if you pick one or the other and write to us, you can write a little paragraph. Zhuzh it up a little bit. Add your own spice. Little paragraph. Imagine like what you'd put on, the size of what you'd put on your dating profile or on a post on Instagram.
It's like the game of consequences when you're writing it down on a piece of paper and you write literally like a line.
It's like a sentence.
And then you fold it over and then the next person writes a line and then you fold it over. Like imagine that you're writing it on a piece of paper. That's it. That's how much reading.
All right. Well, we hope that this has been fun.
Anyway, we're going to put it up on Instagram so you can get involved there or email us in at fksgivenpodcast. No, that's not it. It's fksgiven@comecurious.co.uk.
Hey.
Anyway, we hope you're enjoying this porn story. It's been quite bizarre, and actually reading some of them and them being about me and Reed is quite trippy.
It's funny.
Quite trippy.
I mean, it's gonna happen. It's just gonna happen.
There was one where your husband was called Rupert, and
oh, hello Rupert.
Rupert.
Why do I have a fucking husband in this situation? Like What?
God knows.
I'm
But
like
the- and
the
then
one
the oth-
person that doesn't want to get married.
This and another one that you stormed into my house, started looking around, accidentally attached yourself with my handcuffs to my bed.
Wait, accidentally?
And then-
Whoops.
accidentally.
Oh, shit.
And then there was a bit of a secret about me webcamming, and you'd been watching me in private, but you wanted to also kick me out the apartment. But it was a bit of a weird situation, and then I was ending up basically dominating you.
Oh, shit.
I was like, fuck, whoa. Never seen myself in this light before, so it was interesting.
Did you dominate? Did I get fully owned?
I mean, it kind of cut off at that moment, like where the sex happened or the domination happened, because that doesn't have to be sex. But yeah, it was interesting.
Really interesting. Like seeing the sick little twisted minds of our curious
Your
fuckers.
twisted minds, curious fuckers.
I love. Well, thank you so much for your entries, and keep them coming. Can't wait to read them.
Thanks for listening, curious fuckers. We'll see you next Thursday.
Well, you'll hear us next Thursday. Actually, maybe not. You might see us if you're on YouTube. Nice.
Exactly. See you next. You know what it is. It's all about cunts, isn't it?
Yeah, I forget every single time.
It's a cunt thing.